All right.
So again, my name is Kevin Rasberry, and I am currently certified educator. I teach accounting, social media and business, and fundamentals of computing here in Columbia, South Carolina at Spring Valley High School. Prior to that, I guess I'm kind of the opposite. Most people, of course, have their teaching career and then they go into the administrative realm. Well, I was kind of the opposite. I was in the administrative realm before I became a teacher. And what I did during that time was I founded the first single gender public school in the history of South Carolina, which was Garden City Prep. And that was in Orangeburg, South Carolina. I am a huge advocate for African-American boys. And part of that is because I struggled so bad in school. In high school, elementary school, and middle school, I struggled bad. I graduated with a 1.25 GPA, which is like skated out of that place. But I soon learned that when I went into the military, that it was just the way that I was learning, the way that I learned, and nobody really touched on that because I'm this visionary, so I kind of see things and I want to get to the end. So the process is something that I never respected in education, but as we all know, that is the most important part, is the process. And so even though I still had issues with teachers, that type of thing, I had to get involved with helping boys. And so even when I was in the military, when I got out of the military, I've always helped and worked with Black boys into trying to be successful, not just from an academic standpoint, for life. I've worked with creating businesses. I've always been in the finance business ever since I got out of the military. And so I just looked at creating and just using those talents and gifts to really begin to create businesses and roll them out. And so I've started myself personally, I've started 10 different businesses. Currently, again, I teach, but I'm also a disabled veteran. I also have a medical services company that provides equipment for veterans for everything from canes, walkers, all that type of good stuff. And then I also still have some investments in real estate. I used to own a co-work space that, a lot of different Black businesses would come in and rent an office from us for $350 and just making things relatively inexpensive. But of course, that was a challenging time. I'll put it that way. When people have an idea that they want to be in business and always they just chasing money, that didn't last very long. And so they didn't have any models that could sustain itself without them being there. That's where my mind kind of gravitated back to education and how can I build a better school than the one I had. And here's kind of the caveat to why we're here today. I think I built a solid model for the first school that we had, Garden City Prep. I think that it was solid. The one thing that I didn't anticipate, and this is what happened, kind of the cart before the horse thing, I didn't see the one true thing in education that most people don't see. It's still a school. And the kids have to be educated, no matter how well you do with them. We had the only school in the state of South Carolina that had no suspensions or expulsions for 2 years. And we took them on field studies, so we exposed them to what's out here, taking them to Fort Sumter and Morehouse College and all of the different aquariums, the zoos. We was even invited to BMW. We toured the plant. Boeing, we went to the Atlanta Braves. They kind of broke down to us how sport and business collide and where they meet and a lot of different things. But the key thing was I was getting these boys 5th and 6th grade levels behind and not having that time in the classroom. I really didn't focus a whole lot on that aspect of really a lot of academic support. And in the end, I found out that I was kind of getting set up a little bit. You know, schools were sending me those kids that were 5th, 6th grade levels behind, that weren't doing well in school, and even in the community, you know, because one hand kind of washes the other. So I really started looking at creating a better model. So I broke it all the way down from every aspect that I went through, as far as founding the school, getting an approved for a charter, all of that, sitting at the table in business and looking at what all it entailed. And so I did a blanket research on education, right? In every state, in every city, there has to be a diverse educational model to help every kid. And I didn't see it. I didn't see it. In the state of South Carolina, and this is almost in every state that we have, but in particular in the state of South Carolina, the educational system here was developed in 1868, and it's never been changed. So I want you to think about who all was being educated in 1868 when that was founded, when it was started. And guess what? It is still reaching those it was set up to reach, but more so than anybody else, African-American boys are suffering through our current systems. And it's just because, do I believe they need some of that? Of course. I believe they need English. I believe they need math, science, social studies. They need those. But it is almost the concept that needs tweaking. And so we have pretty much developed a concept of a hybrid model of online learning and face-to-face. And so this model itself is something that will allow us all to reach the talents of those children. As parents, we kind of see and know and tap into our kids. So we kind of know what our kids like to do, whether they have artistic interests, whether it be IT, whether it be kids who really love to read. You know, there are so many musical different schools. And so before I get a little more into that, I am going to talk a little bit about why Cassandra is involved and how she is going to help in this aspect, because as a group, as a network of schools, we're going to need financial growth, right? And so we have potential investors, we have people who are interested in watching these models grow and be able to really reach our particular kids. And so we have partnered with a few people that are interested in it. And so we are looking at doing things like helping you to have long-term strategies as far as facilities, making sure that you have all of the other components that that allow your students to be able to tap into, like we talked about. I talked to a gentleman last night who wants to do a school that has a focus on music. Well, he has some instruments, but his whole his concern is making sure he had enough instruments for all of the different interests of the kids that could be in his school. And so that's going to take some financial planning to make sure that we have all of that in place. And so there is a lead up into to schools opening within this network. So kind of my responsibility is making sure that I've shown and trained you on all of the different things that you're going to come against as you open your school. I know a lot of us, and it's kind of similar, even though you're a teacher, it's kind of similar to it. It's not one to where that aspect you would need a lot of training. I think that's the strength that a lot of you guys bring to it, is that you bring that educational model to it, that you already understand that part. So but the concept itself is one that I wanted to hold the feet to the fire for our municipalities, our state and government agencies that helps with education. So that's where the online part comes from. We have partnered with K-12, and so all of the K-12 schools, whether it be anywhere, I mean, because it is an online situation, we try to make sure that it's at least in the state. If not, we can still do it just because K-12 is all over. K-12 offers front end and back end of what this plan is for. So it allows our kids to be able to get the traditional classes that they need, the English, math, science, social studies, that type of stuff. They make sure that they can get that, because we still want them to get a degree in our state, wherever we are, right? For us as a private school right now to try to create that, the whole issue is accreditation and how long it would take for accreditation. So, I just looked at that plan and said, well, there's no need to even go through a whole lot of that. But the key part is us having the states actually help fund part of our school. So that online part of it, you don't have to hire any teachers. You don't have to do any PD. You don't have to train teachers. None of that. You don't have to worry about the state testing. All of that is handled by that online school, right? And even though that school is still supporting the student, you as the owner or as the person in the building, the learning coach, your responsibility is making sure that the kids are getting the content, right? And so that's kind of our part with it when it comes to those particular agencies. Here comes the best part. We offer academic support as a model. So you as the learning coach, every school that's in this model will have to have a math coach and a reading and writing coach part-time for your particular school. So they would need to have academic support for the students, making sure that they didn't just get the content, but they understood the content. And so they're going to have to be proving that daily, that they understood the lesson that they had. Now, the difference in that for us is we're now able to not just support them, but now we're able to add additional resources to that. I am currently in talks with Daily Cafe, which would like to provide their model to kind of help to increase the math and reading levels of our students. And so that is one that they would train, say for instance, you're the particular learning coach for your school. They would want to train us on that. And so it's kind of like a round robin that they go through. For those of you who are not familiar with Daily Cafe, it is a truly successful academic support model. So hopefully we come to agreement with them, because I really like that. And then, again, after that, of course, your math and your reading coaches, they're still working with them and personalizing what their plan looks like, their educational plan looks like. So it's really individualized for each particular student. After that comes the good part of your specific magnet or discipline, right? So again, the school that I personally chose to do was literacy. I love reading. I just feel like it answers a whole lot of questions. People hide a lot of stuff in literature. And so I really want our kids to get a leg up there. So Point Academy is the school that I've chosen to own within this network and have going. And so that's, those latter hours of the day. Schools open at 7, schools close at 7, not the operation of school itself, but the doors opening. And you want to be able to have parents to be able to drop their kids off in time so they can get to work, that type of thing. And also offer the back end part of that, where it's kind of an after school program as well, to where those kids can be there until the parents pick them up. Now, they don't have to be there at 7. They don't have to be there at 7 at night or in the morning, but it's the opportunity is there for parents to have, okay? And so that's the time where you can do a lot of your specific magnet. So whether it be IT, whatever the case may be, I have a lot of people now who are interested in doing sports performance. You know, I really have to look at that because their insurance is going to take on a different thing than somebody who's doing literature or somebody who's doing music. We really have to look at that because, you know, you're taking on a responsibility of the health of that child, even though you're teaching them fundamentals of basketball or whatever the case may be. You know, it's critical that we work with them on that. So from the blueprint itself comes the training, okay? So there is PD that we will have at least once a quarter, and that's just to make sure that we are understanding from a business model standpoint, from things that you need to do financially, you know, safety precautions, leadership, things like that, making sure that we're abreast of any changes that may happen in the state and that type of thing. And so the good thing about this model is you can own it. Like it's like I kind of did this in the mode of like NBA or NFL. It's a particular league, it's a franchise that you own, right? And so you can be Jerry Jones and be active in your franchise. You can be upfront and you can be there every day, or you can hire somebody to be your particular learning coach. It's just, after that, it's just more your responsibility. Just like if you owned a McDonald's or whichever, you have to make sure that your customers are satisfied, which are your kids and your parents, and your responsibilities are taken care of. And so this model would be severely structured to where we have the little white lines that we have to work within, but then you still have the freedom for it to be independent. The ownership council is every owner, of course, is on a council for the network, and we vote for certain things we want to do. We look at, so part of the what you'll see on the back end of this, fees and things that we contribute, is us hiring people to find grants for us, for those people like Cassandra and those guys who go out to find financial avenues to help us grow, whether it be buildings, whether it be resources we need for our particular franchises. And so there's a lot that we have to kind of keep maintenance of to make sure that the networks keep growing, right? And so we have a lot of support in that, but as the council, we'll vote on certain things that happen. And a big part of that is after this initial wave of franchises, right? So the first year doesn't matter. If we only have 3 schools that open, 4 schools that open, 5, whatever, that now becomes the ownership council. From that part on, we vote on who comes in this network. We vote on it. We look at their model. We look at who they are, look at what their intentions are, where they're going to go, and we vote for that particular model to be accepted into the network. That's what the responsibility of the ownership council will become. We will help govern each other. You know, there are certain things that we have to look for, right? We have to watch and make sure that a owner doesn't all of a sudden get arrested because he's a pedophile. You know, we have the same type of laws that govern us as educators. We have to look at those same type of laws when we talk about people in ownership being around kids. We want people to know that our kids are safe in any school within our network, okay? One thing I will tell you over and over and over again is to have an advisory council. That is a committee. That is something that you have for your particular franchise in your area. That is friends of yours, educators, whether they be political people, whatever. You want to pull people into your advisory committee because you want people who can help you do things like fundraise. You want people to do things like word of mouth from valuable people in your community, telling people about your school and what, how well it's run and how well the kids are doing. You want people who can connect you to different resources. Everything is not connected to money. One of the trainings that's in here is how I will show you how you get the lunches and breakfast and lunch and snacks paid for at your school. So your parents don't have to pay for that, nor would you. But that's a part of the partnership of having it connected to those online schools. So your advisory committee is very important. They are the ones who help you continue to market your school during the school year, and don't just wait until the summer to try to go recruit kids. By the time the summer comes, you want to make sure that your enrollment is full, right? And so one of the reasons I have a lot of questions, people ask me, well, why did I choose for this model of 50 student enrollment? Well, we want to be very purposeful in our kids being successful within our educational model. And outside of 50 kids, unless you are looking to get funded statewide to be open, that 50 number is the magical number to where you're able to reach and touch every one of your kids every day to see how well they're progressing, what they need, even from a social standpoint, what's going on, and we'd be able to tap in and to help them. So 50 is kind of that match of where we need to go. Now, if a school is in an area where they are doing so well and parents are their waiting list hits more than 50 of people who want to come in, as a council, we'll look at it, and then we can look to vote to increase their particular enrollment if we see that it makes sense for them, right? So a lot of our schools in Texas and schools in California that may come online, those guys are really going to be pushing that 50 hard. There's going to be a lot more people that come in, and there may be a lot more other models that people see as well. So the facilities and contractual requirements. Now, I'll leave that where you get your facility at, all of that, that's because you're the owner. Wherever you find one, or if you own a building or whatever the case may be, we still need to know that there are individual learning pods in every building, right? So there are no freestanding classrooms to where it's just desks that's in there. That's not our model. Our model is going to be for pods, okay? And so individual pods, they can be 4 by 4, just like a learning space for them that's individualized. And so those guys can get in there, they have privacy, they have safety, and so that's to secure the minds of our parents and for that particular student, so they can also have some type of ownership in the school. Contractual requirements, we will do 5-year contractual obligations as far as being in the network. And so say, for instance, after that 5 years and you feel either you want to sell your franchise, you may want to close your franchise, or you may want to move on and go to a different place or just be a freestanding private school, you can do that after that 5 years. The only caveat is if you're going to sell your franchise, the network has first right of refusal, right? We have the first opportunity to buy your franchise and be able to keep it in the network and possibly sell it to someone else that we choose. Other contractual requirements is the 3% each school. So if you max out at the 50 kids and say your tuition is $340, that is $540 a month that is contributed into the network fund. And of course, we talked earlier about the marketing, looking to find those financial avenues to help schools, grant writers, all that other stuff. a lot of that has to be paid as well. We will also look to stipend schools for certain things, especially each beginning of each school year. To be a part of this particular network, there is a 4-phase approach to it, which is orientation, it is the development, curriculum development, there is leadership, and there is for the final phase of rollout. So showing you different laws, different things that you have to do, things that have to be in place that is in there. The whole fee to be in this network is $3,000, but it is broken down into those 4 phases, okay? So next steps, I will send a interest form to those schools who are looking to roll out, and then we will schedule the first meetings for orientation, that type of stuff, and what is required, what you need, and when you are anticipating opening and going from there. So with that being said, I am going to send a link to everybody in their particular method of communication that I reached out to you or you reached me from, and send that information out. We're also going to have this recording available for a lot of those guys. But right now, do we have any questions from anybody who's online, and anything specific?
They would need to unmute their mics if you're not already unmuted. It looks like Sherrod is unmuted.
Okay.
Yeah, I am. I did have a question. I was just trying to kind of get a little clarity. And I heard that you said like the maximum amount of students that you can have is 50.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to get a little more understanding about like how you select, or you can kind of like, I guess, create your school, having it themed or content specific to what you wanted to do. Because I heard you say yours will focus on literacy. So how would that work for us? Will we get to choose? And will that facility be a K through 12 facility, or will it be like, I guess, just specifically for the grades that we're interested in housing in the schools?
So here's a couple of different things. That's a great question. Here's a couple of different things that we have to, I want to make sure that I show and teach everybody here. When 5th through 12th grade is a relatively easy fit for this model. And the reason why is because from pre-K to 4th grade, that facility, your facility will have to be set up like a daycare. And however your daycares are managed within your state. I'm here to tell you that will drive you nuts, because it's just like an elementary school, how I think it's 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, they got to have a bathroom in each classroom and all that. You will still have to meet those regulations. So for you to go into a building and to upfit it with bathrooms in every classroom for, you know, your younger kids, that is a huge financial endeavor. I'm telling you, I did it with my school and having to upfit a school. So this way, 5th through 12th, at least, you know, everybody still has the same things that they're going to do. You can do the pods in each particular class, you know, and if you break it down in classes, like mine is broken down into 5 kids per class. And so, yeah, that's the main reason, is because it's the type of discipline you're having. So say, for instance, yours is music. Well, even though they got their traditional classes, you may want to have a bigger space to where everybody goes in and you're teaching them as a group about music and that type of thing. So you want to make sure you choose students that make sense for your discipline, right? So you want to make sure that the parents know that there needs to be some interest there, and that they're sure, you know. And so the good thing is you can select whoever you want, because in models this small, I would not say take all who come, because you won't be equipped to handle students with special needs unless that is your discipline, is you're working with students with special needs, something like that. I hope that answered your question, Sherrod.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there this is Steven, I'm sorry. Is there literature that you're going to send with this survey?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
There'll be more of a breakdown, like the particular information that I sent you guys. The survey interest will let me know, okay, I don't need to keep sending information out to 80 people because they had an interest in it. Now it narrows our focus down on, okay, these are the folks that we're going to be working with. And so this is what the meetings will look like going forward. Like we'll be transitioning to Google Meet after this. Right.
Okay.
And so now we'll have working documents and things like that we will have and kind of go forward. Excuse me. Anybody else? Dr. Smith, you ain't got nothing?
No, not right now, but I will definitely let you know if I have some questions.
So that Cassandra, that's my teaching mentor. That's on Dr. Smith. She off the chain right now. I'll be glad we go back to school so we can get her back in the loop.
It's a crazy time to be in education right now. I can only imagine all the changes y'all are dealing with.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but if there's no other questions, I got I'll shoot out the link for the interest form, and then we'll be sharing more and more information. Like we have a project we're working on that hopefully our schools be able to use it, and it is building our schools out of shipping containers. And so relatively inexpensive move, something that we can look at doing because we're trying to do communities for African-American kids and folks, period, Black people, period, just kind of getting them away from renting and things like that. So a lot of different concepts we have that we'll try to tie into it. But the whole model, the whole caveat of our network of schools is helping our kids, African-American, our Black kids, in a couple of different things you'll see when it comes down to the contractual requirements. Is things like teaching African-American history every day and budgeting and personal finance every day. And so we really want to get them into that rhythm of knowing their history and then knowing how to solidify their future. So if there's not anything else right now, again, we're going to share this, but then the rest of the information will come out, and then we will build our communications networks from there, who all is involved, and when we'll roll out the 4 steps.
I have one more question. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember if you had said this already, so forgive me if it's redundant. But I wanted to just kind of ask too, will we kind of get to tailor-make, I guess, like tailor the curriculum for the students, or will that be provided by you all?
Either or. I can
Okay.
provide you with one, or you can tailor it however you want. I mean, because it's totally up to you. The second half of your curriculum. The first half, of course, is with the online school, traditional schools, but the back half of that is totally up to you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
What online platform, learning management software are you alluding to?
So what you would do is, so here we have 3 schools in our state that uses K-12. K-12 is the best online curriculum right now. So K-12, where whoever has it in your state, like right now, I have a partnership with the South Carolina Cyber Academy here in South Carolina, in Columbia. So all of our kids can sign up with that. But here's the thing. They don't have to sign up for that particular one. As long as they're assigned with any online school, you can bring them in as well, because you can be the learning coach for them. It's just that those K-12s, they really cater to learning coaches, and just the model that I've created, it's just a natural fit for us. Because it also has dual enrollment as well, which is when we go through the requirements, you'll see how that really ties in and fit to help our kids.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else? All right.
Kevin, I did want to, I guess, remind you a little bit. We didn't have the details rolled out for it yet for this meeting, but also mention that we will have some fundraising opportunities available to kind of help them with the franchise fee. Because
Gotcha.
we didn't really get into a whole lot of that for pre-planning for this meeting, but I did want to remind you, so we can mention that to them in any case where people may think there may be some challenges for them getting
Right.
started and funding, because of course it does cost, and we want to assist in any possible way to help bring this to fruition and make it a reality for people. If they want to do it, we don't want money to be the reason why not.
Right. Yeah, we'll roll that part out. Today was just more detail about what we are and what we're trying to do. But the next, of course, the interest form will tell us who we pass that information on to, and who we work with, because you don't want to waste a whole lot of time on somebody who have absolutely no desire to do it. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So if there's nothing else, look forward to getting that link from me here soon. I am a Sabbath keeper, so I'm supposed to be laying down going to sleep, but I will get that out to you today. Whether it be today or this evening, I'll get that out. So thank y'all for joining us, and we will talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a great day.
You too.